right, another day, another project. So here's what we got. Got this oil cooler that we're gonna install in the car today from Earl's. It's like an old old stock or something like that. Like, it's pretty cool. Like, the instructions are like hand drawn. But yeah, besides the point. Oil cooler. It's like 16 rows, I believe. Something like that. And then in here we got the top hat. So this goes on top of the oil filter housing and gives us 2-10 ports. Here goes my instructions. You got that from Clean Injection. They also give you like a different oil filter with this like adapter thing. We got that. What else we got? We got some -10 hose, some fittings and everything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some brackets. I want to mount that like right in this spot. So we'll see what we can do here. So this is somewhat of the look I'm going for. Obviously it's way too high, so this is gonna go and sit between the intercooler and this front bumper. But before we start shoving that in between there, I'm gonna put some tape on these fins so we don't destroy this. Here's what we're looking like with my custom cooling panel and everything in. Honestly, I'm starting to hate this headlight. I think I'm gonna put a stock one back in there for now. Well, my other glass one. But yeah, I'm definitely a fan of this so far. Yeah, so this off. So right now I have the it upside down. So I've got the fittings coming out the bottom. So we're gonna send them both that way to the driver's side and come up and through there and into the cab. A couple pieces of stainless steel here that I'd like to make my brackets out of. I'm trying to figure out what I want to attach this to. So I definitely want this to drop down a little bit lower so it's not sitting on top of this intercooler. So something like that. I want it to just be like perfectly in view. I don't want you to see the top or the bottom of it. So something like that. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what I want to attach my brackets onto. I'd like to use some factory holes so we don't have to drill anything. Well, yeah, we'll see what we can come up with. I'm piecing together some hardware here. You got my riv nuts. Got a 1/4 riv nut here. Got some of these stainless steel screws. So I'm gonna put this in these holes. I don't remember why these holes are here, but they're here. So got one there, one here, and then we'll start making some brackets. So I got a plan now. I am gonna drill a hole right up, you can't see, right there, put a riv nut, and then do the same thing on this side. I am gonna weld 2 little tabs on the end of this plate with a hole, and it'll bolt into there. So this is too short, so we're gonna weld this together and extend it. I got my piece of steel extended. Seems like it's straight still, so I got that going for us. So now I'm gonna cut this to length, and then we can work on drilling and putting some riv nuts in the car. All right, so I just drilled my hole into the car. So right here, I got that hole there. So we're gonna put a little 1/4 riv nut, and then this piece of steel is gonna come in, pretty much just go right there. Lines up with the hole. And then on this side of this, we're gonna weld it onto the tube, like so. Got that side done. Finesse this into here and get this one done as well. Something like that. The hole, out the hole, bada boom. Alright, so I got my bar tacked in place. I got those 2 side pieces screwed in. So this can come off now. Ground. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the oil cooler in. Probably have to come in from the bottom or something. I'm gonna get this in from somewhere. And we're gonna attach some tabs on the top here to attach to this, to attach to there, to attach, to attach, to attach. Yeah. I got my bar in the vise right now. I'm gonna notch out a half of this. This is 1 inch, so I'm taking 1/2 inch out of here so that that cooler can sit inside of this pipe so you don't see the top of this through the front of this grill. It'll make more sense just now, but right now you can see the tabs on the top, so I wanted to just go a little bit higher and be hidden back here. So like that, just like that. And so I gave this piece the slice and the chop. Just gotta get this out of here real quick with my flathead and go from there. All right, cool. So I just made a couple more tabs. So these 2 are gonna bolt onto here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some riv nuts into the actual oil cooler so that I don't have to fumble with nuts and everything. And then these little tabs are gonna get welded onto this bar that we made last night. So it's gonna go something like that-ish, kinda, a little bit, sorta, kinda. We're gonna figure this out just now. But yeah, you get the idea. All right, so we got a new camera. Not sure if you see a difference, but still working on this oil cooler mount. What I'm gonna do is I opened up these holes. These were square before. I'm gonna put a couple of these 1/4 rift nuts in here. And where is it? I made these little tabs here. So these tabs are gonna bolt onto the top here. And then they're going to attach to this brace we made. Something like that. And we'll be able to bolt and unbolt our cooler. So let's get it. It's really cold. I usually don't hate the cold, but I'm cold. Race car though. All right, just got all my welder all set up, and I got this where I want it to be. So, well, kinda. I'm gonna have to hold it up there a little bit and then throw some tacks on this. But I'm gonna do somewhat of a V mount. It's gonna be mounted at an angle. It's not gonna be straight up and down. But I think that's gonna look good. For some reason, it doesn't seem centered. We'll fix that. So I got my bar or my mount all fabbed up, all welded up. I just gotta polish it a little bit. It's not bad. It's not the best. It's not the worst, but it will do its job. So this just kind of finagles into here, pulls up into there. We got our nut. Oh, there you go. Snaps into place. Sort of kinda. Yeah. Then our oil cooler bolts on there. Then we can get to the fun part, making some hoses. So yeah. Yeah. All right, so I got my oil cooler all mounted. This shit is solid. Like, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It looks exactly like how I wanted it to. Once we get the tape off, it'll look a lot better, but this was really easy to like install once we got the bracket. One screw here, one here. I did have to drill this hole, but there's a bunch of random holes in this anyways. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this into like an oval slot. I just don't have the right tools with me right now. So that's gonna get ovalized. And I'm gonna get rid of the slip. We're just gonna make this nice, don't worry. And I also have my cover to cover it. The hole a bit with my tiny file, and now it almost looks factory. Just put a little bit of paint on there so this doesn't rust, and we'll be good to go. And now that the cooler is mounted and all of that is finalized, it's time to make some lines. So I mounted this upside down because with it right way up, I guess, these fittings were sticking up too high, and it would hit the cooling panel I made. So we're gonna go under, and I can't even see, can you? But yeah, the fittings are just gonna connect right here. Damn, I hate how, you know, now that I'm looking at this, if I ever get into an accident, we're gonna have oil everywhere. Just don't crash. I'm gonna make my first hose. These are some Dash 10, I forget what company makes this, but I got it off Amazon. So pretty much how this works is, if you've never done this before, you slide this sleeve over, you shove this all the way in, tighten this, it expands in the hose, and you got a fitting. This project just got my first part of this hose made, so I'm going to attach this. So I'll do the longer one first that goes on this side, route it through, and yeah. Race car. I think I just found a new problem. Seems like the oil is leaking from the dipstick tube up there. I don't know if you can see that. I may need to jack this car up and see what's up, but there's a lot of oil on the floor. It's not bueno. All right, I got my first hose in. I can't even see it, but damn. It goes in there. Just take my word for it. It's right here. Comes around, it goes up, goes through this hole, comes up here. So now I'm debating if I want to go on top of this pipe or under it. For now, we'll just go on top of it since that'll make it longer. Give it the chop somewhere there and hope to God this is long enough, because it does not look like it will be. Let's get it. So I got my cab dry fit here. Probably gonna run this 45 fitting so I can send the hose straight down and under this tube. And then that's one. So we can mark this, put some tape on it, cut it with a grinder, and see if this is long enough for the other side. We'll put our 90 on there and get that all good. This hose has been made. Now to finesse this into there and start working on the next one. This is the long one that goes from this end across and over. I'm thinking actually making a stencil that says JP Fab for this oil cooler, or maybe for the intercooler, or maybe JP Fab. We'll see. Cool, so I got the bumper off so I can get these lines on, and I'm honestly pretty happy with how this looks. I'm not blocking too much for my intercooler. The Oil cooler's gonna get a bunch of air. Radiator's still gonna get air on the sides and stuff. And you know, once I put this cooling panel up here, it'll funnel the air through the radiator and then into the engine bay rather than going up and over. So that's gonna work pretty good. But yeah, I don't think I showed this intercooler mount that I made, but it's really sleek. So I don't know if you can see, there's a bolt here, and a bolt here, and there's just a bar that goes across. You see that black bar goes across, and it catches onto these bolts, these studs for the front bumper bars. So bolt on each side, and this thing is like, it's pretty solid, I will say. So is this oil cooler. So I got the oil cooler back out. It's right on the table. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this up into my office and make a stencil so that we can actually spray paint JP Fab onto this. I think that'll look pretty cool. Peeking through the grills. We got that line made, and then once we come back out, I already got this other hose made. We literally just got to install this cap with this adapter plate and stuff. I can throw on my sticker onto the glass, and that'll be done. I think I'm going to put my stock headlight back on. I'm tired of that duct. It just looks really janky. And then I'm gonna add some quick release latches so that this bumper can come on and off really easily. I'm tired of using zip ties. And these clips are broken, that you know, the bumper side ones that slip onto here. So we gonna get there. Now we're in the office. I got my oil cooler here. So what I am gonna do, I'm gonna head into my vinyl cutting software and design a stencil that says JP Fab a little bit neater than this, and we'll stick it on like a piece of paper or something, cut it out, place it onto here, and spray paint these letters in black. Got my Vivor vinyl plotter over here, and we got the 3D printer going, making that diffuser. That'll be another video. I'm not sure when that's gonna come out, so just stay tuned and you can see that completed and possibly on the car. But yeah, there's a couple designs that I have, but we're going for something different on this oil cooler. Let's get it. So here is the stencil we have settled with, JP Fab. So I'm gonna hit that with some black spray paint. We'll see what it looks like. I kind of want to do red, but I don't think red matches with anything on my setup. I mostly have blue and silver and black. But yeah, so this logo is kind of a copy of this one. The J is missing, as you can see, but the P is there. Oh, I've got that going for me. Alright, so here is the finished results. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. I might touch up in between the F just to make that a bit more pronounced, but we'll wait for that to dry a bit. But I'm pretty happy. That looks sick. So look really good between there. Advertisement, you know what I mean? We got the Mishimoto back there. We got the JP Fab here. Now, what should I put on the intercooler? That can happen anytime. I'm in no rush for that. This, on the other hand, I don't want to have to, you know, drain oil and all of that to have to do this, so I figured I'd get this done now, and I'm happy with that. All right, got my oil cooler all mounted up finally, so that's all finalized and everything's solid on the bracket. Now next up is to put on this cover or this oil filter cap, in place of that one. Connect. I already got my hoses in as well, so I got both of these. Made these two hoses, got the 45s on this side, 90s on the other. Throw this cap on, 2 hoses, add probably an extra quart or 2 of oil. It'll be good to go. Maybe I'm gonna put on these coolant lines too. We'll see. Get all the hoses done. Next up on the list is to pull off this intake manifold so that I can put coolant lines to my turbo, and I can finally plumb in this flex fuel sensor. This should be easy. I should just be able to cut my lines and throw this in line. Some straight fittings. We shall see. I think I figured out my oil leak. It seems like the O-ring on this dipstick tube is missing. Can I get this to focus? Can it focus? Hard to say. Alright, so I got the intake manifold off so that I can route my coolant lines to the turbo. So these two ports used to go to the throttle body down here. And I had deleted that when I did the M50 manifold swap and just looped the two lines together. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna cut this in half, and one side's gonna go to the feed of the turbo and the other side's gonna go to the return. So we're gonna do that. We're also gonna degrease and clean up a bunch of this. I'm pretty sure I have a crazy oil leak down here, and I'm pretty sure it's the dipstick tube like I showed before. So I'm gonna clean that up and see if I can, you know, monitor that and figure out where that's coming from. Or it may, hopefully while I'm cleaning, I can figure out where it's coming from. We shall see. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but for my coolant lines for the turbo, I got these stainless steel braided lines that are already crimped for, I believe this is -6. Yeah, -6. These are transmission lines for something. I got them on Amazon for like 30 bucks, and it should be the perfect length and everything. Then these are just like 6A into barb adapters, so that allow us to connect to those rubber hoses there with some hose clamps. So one there, and this will be good. And then this will be fully cooled, and then that'll be fully cooled. Yeah. I put a 90-degree fitting on the turbo there, so then we'll just come with another 90, and it'll be nice and tight here, and just follow this one straight over. All right, now I'm gonna throw in my new oil cooler cap. So we're gonna reuse this bolt and crush washer. So we're gonna grab this. We also need to place this on the top of the oil filter. Let's see, this oil filter actually looks different than mine. Yeah, this hole is bigger. So, is it? Yep, this is a different oil filter. Okay, that's interesting. Doing this one-handed might be a stupid move. We're probably gonna make a big ass mess. Okay, we're just gonna roll fast. Just okay. And then now we can just take this filter. Alright, so this is where we wrap it up for tonight. It's actually New Year's Eve. I'm gonna head inside and do New Year's things, but got all our lines ran to our turbo. Coolant, oil. Got our oil cooler lines ran. Everything's connected. I did some fitting, so this is one coolant line's directly into the block. The other one is into a piece of rubber line, and then to this hard line that goes into the block. Well, this one goes into the head, one goes into the block. I put a couple caps into here, and we will be donezo bonunzo. Well, after I put the intake manifold back on, but that's tomorrow's project. We are back at it once again. I just finished welding up this fitting. This used to be like a barbed fitting that went right here, and the coolant line went to the throttle body from here. I couldn't find a fitting to adapt this to AN, but this port, however, I was able to. So we use this, and I'm gonna cap this one now. I also couldn't find a cap because I'm not really sure what thread pitch this is. I don't feel like finding it. But that's sealed up. Once that's sealed up, I'm gonna block off these, cover up some wire, and then see if I can degrease this a little bit and figure out why this oil pan's leaking so much, because that's crazy, the amount of oil coming out of there. All right, while I got the intake manifold off, I am also going to swap out these hoses, because right now I have this one capped with an adapter socket, and I got these from my boy, I think I got from Spencer or Matt, I'm not sure, but this one's gonna go here in place of this one, so it's a little bit longer, it should fit better. And this one is gonna go here in place of this one, so that I don't have this extra piece. Greasy. Also, while I have this intake manifold up, I'm gonna drill these two holes out and put these barbed fittings into here, so that I can, so that everything that needs a vacuum source has its own vacuum source. I'm not like teeing off with these things, because these just add extra sources of vacuum leaks. So get rid of all of that nonsense. All right, got my holes drilled. These are going in nice and tight. So before I put those in, I mix up some of this high temp epoxy, put it on the threads, send these in. we'll be in business. So yeah, now everything has its own vacuum source. Good shit. I got my 2 brass fittings into here. So it looks a little messy right now, but once the epoxy dries off, I'll clean that up. So now what I'm gonna work on is, I guess, cleaning this up so we can put this manifold back in. There's still a lot of grease and shit in here. I can't really get down there. It's really cold and the oil is kind of thick, so I can't even wipe this shit off. We're gonna save this for another day. Okay, let's get it. Clean this up to the best of my ability, vacuumed out the ports, made sure nothing's in there. So now we can throw my intake manifold back on. And then maybe we'll work on that side, take the downpipe off and put that stainless steel cover on. We'll see how we're feeling. I got most of everything back together. All my vacuum lines have been installed. Blow-off valve, fuel pressure regulator, boost gauge, the ECU guided signal, everything. I just need to add some coolant, a little bit more oil. Well, probably like a quart or 2 to fill that cooler. And we should be ready for our first start. So, see what it do. All right, let's attempt to start this thing. I bet you the battery's dead. Car is running. I'm not seeing any oil leaks or anything. Everything's looking good. Everything's sounding good. That must mean everything is good. I'm gonna add a little bit more oil and we should be good. That's gonna be 2 quarts. If we can do a boost leak test, we can, ooh, that's oil. We're gonna take care of that. All right, so now it's all together. I actually forgot to put the O-ring in here. I also didn't put Teflon tape on these caps, so I had to take that back out a few times to make sure that was good, but now we're 100% no leaks, nothing. So, hell yeah. It should all be back together with no leaks, hopefully. I took all this apart and, oh, you can't even see in there. I put my flashlight away, but I had to change up the entire setup. I'll talk about that another time. I'm just waiting on my boy Keith to come with a jump pack because my battery died. Throw this headlight in the meanwhile. See what's up. So we got it running again. I fixed the coolant leak. It was just a loose hose clamp. But now we got some oil leaking here. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, we got oil leaking from these fittings. Just talked to my boy. He said to put some epoxy on these fittings. It seems like that's where it's leaking from, so let's get it. All right, so now we're getting some data logs to send over to the tuner so we can get this this idle right. Right now it's a little rich, and even just driving on it, I'm having this like dead zone and everything in the throttle. So just getting a couple of idle logs and stuff. I can't drive it tonight because there's a Camry in my way and I don't really feel like moving that. So tomorrow we'll get some driving logs and send them over. But yeah, this is what we're looking like right now using Tuner Studio since we have a Mega Squirt ECU.